Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna take a look at Spreadshop new updates to the extrude region. So now we actually have a multiple extrude, and this is actually really cool. If you think about it, that you can actually do, you can pass in multiple data, like a list of data, and then you can make a multiple extrude. Like in this one, like this example I'm doing, I have 4 time extrusion all done in a single go using a single node. And originally this is just like a radius. It's a circle, and I can still change the circle radius, um, and I can make this simple animation using sine wave. So yeah, I'll start from scratch. Um, okay, let's get started. Jump to Spreadshop. We have nothing in the 3D scene. I'll save this as multi-extrude demo. This is gonna be the basic one. I think multi-extrude can be pretty advanced. Depends how you wanna approach it. Let's start with just a single plane. Actually, I'll just use a circle in this case, and use a viewer draw. By default, circle have 24 vertices and looks like circle. You can reduce it up to 4 or maybe just 8. So you have this low resolution circle. And the next thing you can do is to generate this extrude region node. And if you set this to the matrix mode, this guy can have this multiple extrusions. I thought the one along normal has multiple extrude as well, but it doesn't have currently. But anyway, let's use by the matrix. Let's give this a try. Just pass in the circle data, vertices and polygon, and then the output goes in there. So by default, it doesn't seem to do anything, but let's plug in some list of matrices. So don't be afraid of the word matrices. It's actually basically just a transform. Once you plug it in and it's still doing nothing, but if you use like a vector value into the locations and then extrude it up, okay, you kind of know what's going on. The cool thing about this multiple extrusion is you can actually pipe in multiple value. So if you are new to Spreadshop, this is actually a good node to get you further. For the first time, if you are new to Spreadshop, I recommend you to just try all these generators node and then see what it's doing, what this guy is outputting. The second, you probably want to get used to the idea of having a list, and you can use list input for that. So list inputs, for example, this single nodes allows you to generate a list of values, whether it is integer, like a full value, or float, or vector. Vector, you have 3 values at one go. So if we want to extrude this guy 3 times, we can have 3 vector lists. I'll zero them out for now. Plug this guy into the locations and I'll start extruding. Okay, this is the first extrusion. It's in the z-axis. It's just going up. Second one, I'm gonna move it in the x. Okay, x apparently minus x that's positive x-axis, and this is the minus x-axis. Okay, that's actually clear enough as well. And then the z-axis. See, you can keep doing this if you like. Keep extruding it up and maybe move it in the y, extrude it up, move it in the x-axis. So you can continue doing this. It's actually quite fun. If you want to go a little bit more advanced, try to make list input using vector in, for example. If you have 2 vector in and you use list join and kind of mix and wrap them together, how do you make this work, for example? Is it working the same? Apparently you need to be in the join level list level 2. Yeah, and then that should work as well. And you can keep adding vector this way. But I'm not gonna go to the advanced mode yet. I just gonna stay with this. I'm gonna extrude it 3 times and gonna extrude it just in the z-axis. You see with the matrix here for the extrusion, you see it's actually resetting itself every time. So it doesn't like, it's kind of accumulating. It's not accumulating, it's resetting itself. So when you extrude it the first time, the second extrusion will start from 0 again. So you're kind of moving it up a little bit, for example. Yeah, let's move on to the next one, scaling. Scaling actually works in 3 axes, as you might expect. But you need to be careful. Sometimes if you work in a 3 axis at the same time, it can get a little bit confusing. But if you're familiar enough with scaling, you can of course just do it in 3 axis. But if you are new to it, you can use a vector in and simply just work in all 3 axes. What I mean is we can use list input and use a float and use the same value for the XYZ. And let's see how it works. I can scale all of them like with a value of 1. I can reduce the value, but you will see that the effects is actually kind of accumulative. So for example, the scaling of the first scaling actually affects the next scaling. Maybe it's kind of behavior that's can be different depending on the options, but currently it's the first extrusion actually matters a lot for the next one. Of course, we can still make changes to the location extrusion. I'm gonna keep it simple for now. And the next one we have rotation and angle. This one always a little bit just slightly confusing when you look at this. Okay, rotation and angle. Rotation is actually the axis where you want to rotate it. By default it's 0, 0, 1. That's mean if you plug in a float value to the angle, it will rotate along the z-axis. Okay, so we get that kind of twisting very easily. If you want to rotate it kind of like sideways, side by side, you can change this to, for example, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, give you rotation in x-axis. So now, if you look at this axis, the x is actually the red color. So now you can, rotate this guy side by side like this and make a little bit of just animations. Very simple one. Just a bendy kind of animations. So that's the basic actually, but the nice thing about this is, of course, you can have multiple value. So for example, I'm doing it like this. So the first one, second one, and the next one. You see, it's very, very cool. And maybe in the next video I'll go like in a more advanced kind of mode, and probably giving like maybe starting to give like a random value, or we can test a couple of things. Maybe instead of using list input, we can use like a random number generator, so we can quickly generate like random numbers and plug this guy in. For example, I'll give you like a preview. If I give like 3 random numbers generated on the fly, and this is a random number between -20 and 20-ish. If I plug this into the angle, randomize the seed, you can see that this guy is kind of rotating in a random fashions. So that's kind of also can be some kind of animations. And yeah, by the way, with the rotation as well, you can also doing these rotations in different way. Instead of having to worry about the axis and the angle, you can actually plug in a vector value into the angle right away, and now you can control this differently, so that you can actually make animations this way. So that's actually in the y, that's in the x-axis, so it's moving, it's rotating that way. You can actually turn this into minus, and it should rotate the other way around. Oh, maybe I need to zero this out. Okay, apparently we do need some kind of value here. Okay, that's okay. I got it. So if we have like 0, 0, we have the z-axis set to 1 and then z-axis set to 1 here, we can actually rotate the x this way and rotate the y. Okay, cool. Now if you want to practice this multiple extrusion, you can try like a different generators. Start with a plane, for example, or maybe n-gon. Just pick a primitive that's actually just like a single phase for a start. And if you want to do like a multiple extrusion, you can do that here. Just keep adding the list. So let's see, I'm gonna do like a 6 extrusion now, so we can get this kind of result. And I'll have 6 as well over here. Give it some value. Kind of see the effects of scaling. It's pretty cool. It's really cool actually. Once you understand the whole ideas of this extrude region, you can start to make maybe like a extrude a long path, so you can easily create like a tentacle and just animate it that way. Maybe that's like the basic idea. So yes, try to just play around with this extrude region. Let me know if you have any question or feedbacks, something you wanted to know or you want to let me know. This is definitely one of, I think, nodes that's actually quite powerful. One of my favorite as well. And I'll do another one of this live noding with this node and maybe more advanced mode, like I said. And maybe we can generate a couple of variations here. So you can do that quite easily in Spreadshop. Currently everything is getting the same value, but you know, once you have random number generator, once you have this kind of thing and then give it like a different seed, it's gonna be pretty powerful, pretty interesting. Randomize the seed, you know, range, integer. Are we still getting the same locations? Maybe this split. yeah, I don't know. Give it a try. Just start with the basic first, and then we're gonna continue from there. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll see you in the next